And also Dave Husted. Bowling out of the number 3 slot, 31-year-old Sam Macarone looking for his first PBA title. In the number 2 position, it's rookie Purvis Granger, only 22 years old, but very talented. And bowling out of the number 1 slot, it's left-hander Bobby Jacks looking for his first title in over 2 decades. Everybody, I'm Denny Schreiner, and 3 PBA championships, and Dale Eagle playing the jokester there, the prankster, very early on in this match, Mike.
I wonder if that was just a little mind game to try and break his concentration a little bit.
Husted's first shot on the left-hand lane, number 15, a little bit high, and he will not like the result.
Maybe it worked, huh? Left lane, the reason David is starting in the left lane here at Golden Pin Lanes is the left lane hooks a little bit more for David, and he wants to finish on the lane that's tighter, lane 16. Cross lane, 6, 7, 10. And it almost bounced up out of there.
Does that ever happen, Mike? Once in a while, you'll see a pin come back out.
In 1983 at Las Vegas, Gil Sliker and I were bowling for the championship, and Gil left the 6, 7, 10, and it bounced up to make it, and that was the difference in our win.
Well, I guess it does happen once in a while. Dale Eagle on the right-hand lane, lane 16. And it's through the nose for Eagle as well, so both players having a bit of a problem here in the opening match.
Well, we watched him warm up, and the scores we think are going to be moderate today as he goes right to the heart of the pins. He could have had a split. He leaves only the 3, 6, 10. The lanes are very tight, Nenny. What I mean by that is there's a lot of oil, a lot of dressing on the lane, and the ball won't hook back. So the player knows the ball won't hook back, and he has missed that spare. So we've got 9-9 here. Anyway, again, the ball slid by at the 3, 6, 10. The lanes are very, very tight, and the ball will not hook back even at the spares.
There you're looking at the graphic, $26,000, a little better than that thus far in 1986. And, of course, the majority of that coming just a couple of weeks ago.
And we watched Dale shoot that spare with a different ball. He used a blue ball that probably goes a little straighter yet. And whatever it was, he used the wrong ball. He didn't make it.
What's that do to your confidence when you open up with a missed spare?
Well, your opponents, you're just looking, trying to beat your opponent's match game style here. So no matter what you score, if you win, that's the important thing, is he comes right back with a strike.
Dale Eagle shot .253 in the position round game last night. He was in the number 7 spot. Started with the first 8 strikes in a row and bowled his way onto the show in the 42nd game.
Similar to what he did 2 weeks ago in Seattle,
when he beat Jim Steffen in the position round.
And we see the difference between the 2 players right here. Dave Husted, who hooks the ball considerably more than Dale Eagle, likes the right lane because that lane will go longer for him and finish later. The left lane, lane 15, hooks more for him, and so he has to make more of an adjustment. He doesn't want to swing it too much, but he knows that if he doesn't really project the ball or try and get the ball through the first 15 feet of the lane, it's going to go high for him.
Husted has not won here in Tucson, but he finished 7th in 82, 12th in 1980, 11th in 1979, and 4th in 1978, so he has fared very well here at Golden Pin Lanes. Good shot, left-hand lane, and the result is a strike.
What an adjustment he made on that. He did it with loft and not quite as much turn that time. Watch him here. He gets the ball a little more speed and further out over the lane. He didn't quite turn it as much, over about the 6th board, and now it starts breaking right now. Perfect. But the 8-pin thought about standing. Eagle for a double, and trips that 4 out of there.
Trips the 4 like Pete Thomas used to trip the 4, the general manager here at Golden
Pete Thomas, as we see the score right there, that they're just identical. Pete Thomas, the general manager here, used to trip that 4 almost as much as Billy Hardwick did.
Ooh, that was virtually every shot, wasn't it?
Well, no, not quite. If Billy's watching at home, I'm sure he's saying that he left a few 4 pins. Mm-hmm. Very few.
The guys who bowled him sure remember most of those. That'll drive you crazy watching those guys trip the 4. Dale Eagle looking for a turkey.
And to take the lead. Oh, and nice shot as he snaps that pin out of there.
Well, when he gets wired in, he can strike. We saw.
It's just, they seem very difficult here, even though the players seem to be striking somewhat. But to get 300, Jim almost did it, that one shot. Oh, you'll dream about that for a while.
Boy, was that exciting. 11 in a row and got a little quick on the last shot. Husted working on a double, would like to top things up and does. And he's been bowling outstanding the last month. And I asked him earlier this evening, Dave, will you continue to strike and win?
Well, I'm sure going to try. You know, it's one of those streaks that guys talk about. They come out and they've been bowling good for 3 or 4 weeks. I want to win again, and hopefully I can keep on bowling well. If I don't bowl well, I'm just going to go the next week and try to make something happen for me next week.
Sounds like the right kind of an attitude.
Good speed here. Good speed. Boy, was that a nice shot. That's the key. He's got to keep that speed up on that left lane, Denny.
So in other words, a lot of times the pros will make an adjustment, Mike, rather than move with their feet or throw the ball further out. They'll use more speed.
There used to be some of the old-time adjustments. See the classic style of HUSTED. Right over that 6 board again, and there's the break, the arc. Perfect, all 10 in the pit. Eagle to get the tie. Oh, man, we got some bowling after that first frame. They had a little jitters in.
Dale Eagle really has been superb over the last month as well. I asked him what he's changed, what has he done differently to start to bowl well.
Well, I've been working real hard on my game. I've been practicing hard. I've been making changes a lot quicker this week. This is one of the weeks where I had to think fast, a lot faster, and when I got in a tough situation, I had to stay a lot calmer, and I had to keep my cool. It was tough because I did get a little nervous at times, but I just tried to stay in there and hang in there, and I'm going to give it my best shot today, and they're going to have to come and beat me because I'm going to bowl good.
Two very confident players. Eagle to take the lead. Boy, he's there too. Woo! I'll tell you what, no one's going to lose this match. Somebody's going to win it, but no one's going to lose.
As Mike and I mentioned, HUSTED and Eagle coming into this tournament have just been superb.
And David appears to be putting a piece of tape into the thumb hole at this point. That's hard to fathom. He's got 4 in a row, made 4 beautiful shots, and he's going to change it. Michelle's wondered about it, too.
What about the 4 strikes or the tape?
The tape. Now, I couldn't do that. I'd have to take a practice swing to make sure that I would be able to let go of that ball right. That's why I'm sitting back here and he's out there bowling.
Now, why, as hot as it is, Mike, why would his hands start to shrink a little bit?
Well, it just could be the perspiration, Dan, that his hand is starting to get a little bit sweaty or something of that nature, and he needed just a little firmer grip in there. Maybe he changed. Maybe he pulled another piece out and put a fresh piece in. I don't know.
Good tip for the average bowlers, too. If you're going to change tape once in a while in league play, have some ready to go so that you don't have to take a lot of time getting prepared.
Right. Even match right now. We're in the 7th frame. HUSTED to take the lead, working on 5 in a row. Good speed again. Oh, and it just didn't make it that time.
So a bucket on the left-hand lane, and that is not the easiest spare to shoot in the world either.
That ball went right over target. It had to be something in his release that he just didn't get out of that ball as clean that time as he had the previous shots. He's got a tough spare in the dinner bucket here, 2, 4, 5, 8.
Dave HUSTED averaging better than 216 per game this week. He's averaging 214 a game, which ranks him 2nd on the tour thus far. Big spare conversion, and solid as a rock is Dave HUSTED out of Milwaukee, Oregon, a player bowling with a lot of confidence. Back with a conclusion, Dale Eagle leads by 4. It's solemn at this point. Why, Mike? Her husband has 5 in a row.
She's yet to see her husband lose on television yet, so I mean, it's just the pressure. 4 pins is not a very big lead.
Not when you've got the likes of Dave HUSTED to bowl heads up against.
Eagle taking a little extra time on this shot. Oh, boy. He's just had every one of them except that trip 4 just solid like that.
Mike, you mentioned the fact that whoever won this match would be in a pretty good position maybe to take off for a while, but as warm as it is, how hard is it going to be to win 4 games to win the title?
Well, it'll be a little bit harder than it was in Seattle, where it was nice and cool up there. The temperature's 101 here, and the humidity's a little bit higher than it normally is in Tucson. So we're very warm back here in the broadcast booth. I can imagine what they are underneath the lights and with the heat of the Tucson sun here.
Dale Eagle with a high game of 279 this week.
Up by 14, he's given it too much room. Leaves the 1, 2, 4, 8, and that gets the count back even. Watch Dale's eyes as he watches the target all the way. That's the eyes of a competitor. On the target, still on. Now he looks up, and he knows right away, uh-oh.
Where's the hook? Boy, what a great steady head. He's taking it right to the line. Just keeps his eye right on the mark. And that's how you hit it 9 times out of 10.
As well as he's bowled on television the last 2 times. You wonder why Dale hasn't won more in his career. Ooh, and he just gets that spare.
Well, what's nice is coming up after game number 2, your tip this week concerning the 1-2-4 and then making the washout as well.
And we see he just barely gets to the 2-pin. Watch, the ball will just nick the 8. And the 2 just barely got the 4. Boy, he wasn't sure about looking at the eyes. Oh, instant relief.
Dave Husted trails by 10, and this is his shot in the 8th frame.
Oh, the 7-pin almost stood. Big shot of the match coming up right now. Husted down by 10 pins. Right, watch the 7-pin, one on the far left here. And it's standing. And something, I don't know, the breeze knocked it over. Huh?
There is no breeze in Tucson. He has just battled back, and we talked about Dale's exhibition in Seattle. Husted was absolutely superb in winning 3 matches en route to capturing that Kessler Open.
And did you notice he had his head, he took a little extra time to get his thoughts together on this shot right here. And, oh, what a great reaction. That 2-pin coming off the wall and getting that 4. He thought it was going to be perfectly dead flush, and it was just a freckle high. What's the 2? Third from the left here. And it goes, and it just nicked the 4 going by and then caught the 7. And David thinks it's dead flush. He's down on that knee. Ooh. Even match, 9th frame.
Couldn't ask for a better opening match. Right back.
Well,
just as strong as ever, Dale Eagle delivers, and both of these guys have just been outstanding.
And the situation that if both players would strike all the way out in the 10th frame, they'd both shoot 255. They are tied going in. We could have a tie match. Like I say, nobody's going to lose this match. Somebody's going to miss. If we do have a tie, they would have a 2-frame roll-off, a 9th and 10th frame, just like we're doing now. They just bowled the 9th frame. So we'll see what happens. The player who performs in the 10th frame is the one who's going to win.
I don't think either player has been involved in a roll-off.
High. Tough spare. 3-6, 9-10. He left the 3-6, 10 in the 10th frame, or the 1st frame rather, and now he leaves the 3-6, 9-10.
There's not much of a margin for error to make that either.
Very difficult spare. Right to the heart of the pins. I don't know whether a lapse of concentration or what. But you see the result, and he's thinking about how to make this.
If Dale Eagle would spare here and strike, he would shoot 235.
And, you know, during that shot, we heard another ball hit the pins. That was Bobby Jacks warming up over on the practice pair. And I don't think he's got it. Boy, he's all but handed it to Husted. Missing the 3-pin again. Very unlike Dale Eagle to open in the 10th frame like that. Husted, though, is going to need a mark. And this was gone from the word go. It was like Jim Harvey's shot last week. It was never going to get back.
So Dave Husted presented with a situation where if he marks, he advances into game number 2.
On his favorite lane, lane 16. And that's the best kind of mark right there.
Yeah, when they all go down, and then you get to reset them and try one more time. So
Husted will advance, and Dale Eagle will head back towards the paddock with a smile on his face. And for his week's work, $5,000.
And we see David, again, the eyes watching that ball right over the target. He knows it's flush.
And that shot wasn't too bad either, as he just rips the rack on lane 16. So Husted is loose and on the go.
2 very confident players, and both of them can't win, but Eagle just made a poor shot, a bad shot in that 10th frame. Husted didn't.
Husted with a possible 255 here in the opening game should he strike on the fill ball, and he does. He shot 260 in the opening game last week, so he gets lined up in a hurry, and hopefully he'll stay that way. He'll be in a situation where he'll be moving on here to match number 2. The final score 255-223, and coming up next is the bowling news.
Mike, and you leave only a single pin spare to shoot at.
Very nice break.
Dave Husted defeating Dale Eagle in the opening match, 255-223.
Cross lane at the 9-pin, and again we saw. Oh! I tell you what. Oh, we saw him miss that in the position round last week, and this one was by it. I swear.
Is that what you call by it? Is that what you call saving the wood, Mike?
Well, you didn't want to hit it too hard. It might be the head pin that makes it.
There you go. Great replay action. Sam Macarone's first shot. This one goes a little long before it decides to hook, and the dinner bucket left on lane 16.
2, 4, 5, 8, and Macarone playing closer to the second arrow, while Husted's playing right around the first arrow.
There you see the numbers at this point for Macarone. At this point has won better than $14,000 in 1985. He eclipsed the $22,000 mark, but more importantly for Sam, he is looking for PBA title number 1.
And this being only his second ever career championship round performance. And nice cover on a difficult spare. That'll make it feel a little bit better. He told me he was nervous, and he said if I can just stay loose, he said I have a good ball reaction. I can bowl a good score if I can just stay loose. There's his average on the TV pair. Hasn't fared too well this week. Only 196 on this on 15 and 16. His weekly average, though, at 214, averaging 207 for the year.
In his first PBA event as a non-member, he finished 17th in the BPAA U.S. Open. So obviously he got a taste of success early on and decided to become a professional.
And we said, oh!
The oohs and the ahs of the crowd here, and it's been an excellent crowd in Tucson and Golden Pin Lanes this week.
I'm going to have to wait here for my comments. As I start to say something, the pins delay in falling. It goes right to the heart, and the 4, 6, 7 are there, and that 2-pin knocked them both out, and they both fell. So both bowlers get good breaks on the left lane. Macarone trying for the 6-pin.
Did you used to talk to those pins once in a while, Mike?
Well, everybody talks to those pins once in a while.
Do they ever listen?
Now and then they cooperate, let's put it that way.
So a couple of spares, hard-earned spares for Sam Macarone, and he sits down on the bench and gets himself a little rosin and will probably relax at this point. But will Dave Husted let him relax very long? That's the question.
Back on target, trips that 4 out of there. And Lane seems to trip that 4. Eagle tripped it a few times. To see Dave Husted's timing from the side here. Gets that ball in motion, watch the high backswing. Now he hits his next to last step, and that ball's right at the peak of his backswing as he hits it there. Comes through with perfect timing. Good follow-through, good finish in the head. See how still the head is right on target.
Seems like he's quite a distance behind the foul line, Mike. Is that because the lanes might be a little tighter? He's trying to get himself a little extra lane?
Trying for the double, and gets the light hit. It's probably just how he grew up bowling, Denny.
I know in some cases when the lanes are a little bit tighter, the pros will try and back off just a little bit to give themselves, heck, all you need is an extra 6 or 8 inches sometimes to carry that 10-pin.
It's possible that he is doing that. I should have asked him that question. I didn't think of it.
Well, we'll talk to him afterwards, perhaps. So Husted doubles, and Macarone finds himself trailing by 11, but not for long as he slashes the rack on 16.
And the difference between that shot and the first frame is simply that Sam was a little more relaxed. He threw it in the same place. He had a better hand release. And what I mean by that is he got his thumb out of the ball and rotated that ball with his fingers and lifted the ball with his fingers, and it rolled back, got that reaction.
Sam Macarone had a very consistent week, Mike. His high game of the tournament was only 248, and his low game was 171. So he did it pretty much crossing the house consistently all week long.
Cut it down to 1 pin. Right there. Nice shot.
Well, he ran it out, and for obvious reasons, Dave Husted leads by 1, and he'll try for a turkey when we come back here in match number 2.
Pete's been here a good number of years.
This is the 11th consecutive year the tournament has been held here at Golden Pin Lanes.
Trying for 3 in a row.
Up until that point, Dave Husted had struck 7 consecutive times on the right-hand lane and nearly made it an 8-bagger.
Could have struck. Ball was well delivered. Excellent shot. Just the pins just didn't fall the right way to get that 7-pin out of there.
Is it a bad break, Mike, when you throw a light shot like that and rip the rack and you don't carry the 7? Do you consider that a bad break?
Definitely, especially if I throw it with as much power on it as Dave Husted does, which I never did, so.
Yeah, but you never missed a pocket that wide. You used to just stuff it in there.
Yeah.
Mike, you know, you've taken a good look at the finals pair here this evening. What were they like last year when you bowled out of the top-seeded position? I know you didn't have much success.
Well, I liked the right lane a lot. The right lane would swing back for me last year, and it was just the opposite. It seemed to be this year. The left lane seems to be hooking more. This year, the left lane would come back for me, yet it still wouldn't hold. I had a lot of trouble. I got 2 4-9s on that left lane last year. Back in the pocket. Ooh, and the first solid 10 we've seen. I'm sure there were a bunch of them left this week, as there are every week on the PBA Tour. Watch the 6-pin, second from the right. See how high it goes. And it stayed nice and low and still went right on that 10-pin.
So far in 1986, Dave Husted with 4 TV finals. He has made the top 24 on 11 occasions and cashed in 15 out of 20 tournaments. But he trails by 1 here. Sam Macarone working on a double and shooting in the 5th.
Macarone, again, has a nice ball reaction on the lane. The thing he has to overcome is the nerves. And he tried to steer that one in. If you could see his follow through, there's his father looking on and not liking that shot too well. And Sam doesn't like it too well. He just tried to steer that ball into the pocket. Didn't want to give it too much room, but didn't want it to go high, and he didn't make a natural, normal shot at all.
When you say steer, Mike, what do you mean?
I mean that your arm swing literally tightens up, the muscles in it tighten up, the hand release is not as clean, and it's like I'm trying to steer a baseball, and something fell.
Macarone tried to start to shoot the spare and was obviously disturbed by a sound, so he backs off the approach and taps the rosin bag and will step up again and gather himself.
Relatively easy spare in the 1-2. Goes hard and straight at it, no problem.
Considering the fact that Sam started the number 3 position this evening, I asked him what his strategy would be to get to the title match.
Well, I think the biggest thing I'm going to have to do today is try to stay as loose as possible. And I'm just going to go out there and execute the best I possibly can, and hopefully it's going to be enough to win today.
He looks uptight, doesn't he? He just, if he gets a win underneath his belt, look out. Nice shot there.
31 years old, 5'10", 150 pounds. And boy, did he bowl outstanding in match play this week. Of course, I guess just about everybody does when you make the telecast.
When you make the top 5, you beat a lot of good players in the course of the week.
Dave Husted with a scant 1-pin lead threw 10 strikes in the opening game and shot .255 en route to defeating Dale Eagle.
Boy, back in that 1-3 pocket on lane 16. And David, right now, the contrast between the demeanor and the outward appearance of both players. David doesn't appear to be one least bit nervous. He is the picture of confidence. Where Macarone right now has a good ball reaction, but he's fighting and trying to keep himself loose and make the shots, and he really wants to win. Just doesn't seem to have the same confidence that Husted has right at this point, and it's understandable.
Dave Husted, a young veteran, 8 years a PBA member, and he'd like to make it another strike, and he does. Down on one knee, and he was successful. So Husted trails by 11. Macarone will try and double in the 7th when we return. Each and every game presents that one key pressure shot, and Sam Macarone's in that position right now.
Well, I think he is, Dan, because he's trailing by 11. It's only the 7th frame, but he just can't let Husted get too far ahead or he'll be lost. He's fighting really himself just to relax and make a good shot. That's what he's telling himself. And he did. Boy, did he make a nice shot. But this one, you know, even though that one was really important, I hate to be redundant here, but this is to take the lead here. So we'll see how he reacts inside, what he's telling himself inside, and how he's trying to control his thoughts and make his thoughts control his body.
Boy, that isn't easy to do either.
Especially under this kind of pressure, and he's only been here one time before.
It's a great learning process, though. I remember I asked you what you felt like the first time you were on national television. You told me you were scared to death.
Oh, absolutely. I shot 160, but the next time I got on, I won. To take the lead. Right there. Boy, did he respond. That'll build the confidence inside.
And now the pressure swings
to the other side of the match, and Dave Husted will have to stand up trailing by 9.
But David knows that he can respond. He's just had success after success. Whether he does or not, he knows that he can.
It's a great feeling to have.
To take the lead back. Oh, he gets the can opener.
The can opener.
The can opener there.
That was sort of a half-hit, funny type of a
Now
hit.
watch this. See what hits the 10. And it was the 9 pin that flicked over there and hit the 10. I've always wondered that. What, on that kind of hit, what hit the 10 pin?
Well, we've seen some solid 9s here this week, too. So that time the 9 pin helped out. Boy, this match is about as tight as you can get.
We've had such great matches in our ESPN telecast this summer.
I want to tell you, each and every one. Husted in the 9th.
Oh, man, is that a great bowler right now? I'll tell you what, he's bowling with such confidence. That has to be demoralizing to Sam Macarone, who made 2 great shots to get the lead, and then the guy just steps up there and crunches 2 to go right back in the front by 11. So Macarone is back in the same position now in the 9th that he was in the 7th then.
If both players would strike out, Husted would win 258, 257.
And the first time we figured they could go out for 255 apiece. We've had great bowling.
Boy.
And we didn't expect scores like this. To keep in the match. Oh, responding wonderfully. At half pocket hit, and it snapped that 10 pin right out of there. 1 pin going into the 10th frame.
His career championship record was 1 win and 1 loss. So the track record, there really wasn't much you could derive from that. However, this evening, Sam Macarone has come to play.
This is to take the lead. Again, we said in the first match that the player that performed in the 10th frame would win, and of course it's going to be true here too. Eagle didn't perform very well. Husted did. Blows that air out to take that breath. He's got a chance.
Oh, Macarone begging and pleading for a little help, but a stayed 10 pin makes the difference.
Then he was right on line, just a hair soft. Watch the 2 pin, 3rd from the left, goes to the wall, gets the 4 pin, and the 4 pin rolls over and almost gets the 10, but it doesn't.
Just kind of runs out of room.
And he performed well under the pressure. He just threw it a hair soft, and the ball hooked a little bit high. Has to make this spare, though. No mistakes here. Double dribbles it, but gets it.
Double dribbled it, but kept it on line. Got there a little quick with the feet, maybe, huh?
Well, he had to make that spare. He is down by 2 pins. A strike, and he finishes with 236, which would force Husted to strike on one of the 2 balls.
Sam Macarone is averaging 218.5 in the championship round, and if he shoots 236, you'd think that'd be enough to get yourself a W.
He can't fault himself. He performed well. Needs the good count. Doesn't get it.
Oh, boy.
4, 6, 7 finishes with 233, meaning Husted is going to have to fill 16 pins in the 10th frame to win.
Dave Husted sauntered over to Chuck Pisano, ESPN TV coordinator, and also Harry Golden, PBA National Tournament Director, just to make sure he knew what the score was before he stood up here in the 10th frame. That's a good thing to do, isn't it, Mike, to clear your mind and find out exactly what you need.
Just another example of his experience right now, coming to the top right here, coming to the forefront. The best kind of mark again.
Well, one of the players warming up just down the way threw a shot right in the middle of Dave Husted's approach. He struck and sort of pointed that way, and it's not easy to keep your concentration, but Michelle, his wife, is very pleased that he did. Husted wins his 2nd match of the night.
He's going to shoot 250 again if he gets 1 more strike.
Does that mean he's locked in?
What gives you your first clue?
Oh, yeah. Now, that's what you call a PBA buzzsaw right now. And if you're waiting in the wings, as Harry Golden likes to say, it's not much fun to see a guy average 250 the first 2 games and know that you got to bowl him next.
All you can think is well, he's done it. He can't keep doing it, is what you think.
Sure. Hey, he's been doing it all summer. So the final score, Dave Husted winning 247-233. And coming up next, in just a moment or so, we'll have something interesting for you. But that's the conclusion of match number 2.
First appearance on national television, very upright stance, 5-step, classic delivery, a little bend forward there, short backswing, and out well over the lane. Usually what you see with that short backswing like that, Dan, is a guy is very accurate. It's like a la Roy Buckley used to have that real short backswing, and the guy usually is very accurate when he does that.
Purvis Granger with the best match game record of our 5 television finalists. He went 16-8, and boy, does he have his hands full here this evening with Dave Husted.
And he's allowed Houston to finish on the right lane again. And Houston, again, seems to need a shot to get warmed up. And a little soft and a little direct with that shot. Fortunate that he only left the 4-7, and he knows it.
I think his opponents would rather have him start with a strike.
Every time he starts with a spare, that's about the only one in the whole game. After that, it's all strikes. Cross lane at the 4-7. Has it with no trouble.
Husted, in 8 years on the PBA Tour, has now earned better than $437,000, better than 61 this year, and he is looking to add to that total here this evening.
And we get our first look at Purvis Granger, who we know has to be nervous, his first time on national television. Throws the ball probably slower than any of our other players. But these rookies come out nowadays, Dan, and they just say, television, what's that? And just start striking.
Oh, he looks like he's scared to death out there.
Yeah, doesn't he?
Joined the PBA just 3 months after his 18th birthday, and believe it or not, Mike, in the Southern region, won better than $11,000 down there, and just decided, hey, I'm doing pretty well on the regional level. It's time to take on the national tour.
Well, that's the way to do it, Dan. You start off, if you can beat the guys in your local area, then you try and beat the guys out here for the double. Boy, that slow speed, the ball just rolled back solid.
Purvis Granger, only 22 years of age, and his opening 2 shots couldn't have been any better.
I don't know. Maybe these guys, young guys, just don't hold the other guys in awe anymore.
Well, it's called having the solid nerves, Mike.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Remember when you used to have those?
No, I don't remember. On his favorite lane.
Now, Mike, you mentioned the fact that for the 3rd consecutive match, his opponent will let him finish on the right-hand lane. If you see the guy striking like crazy on that lane, wouldn't you try and flip him around a little bit?
Well, the players seem to like the left lane better, although everybody that's had a chance to strike out has not done it yet on the left lane. A lot of players want to get up and get their score posted first and sit down and let the pressure, so to speak, fall on the other guy to have to strike to beat him.
In other words, get into the clubhouse with the highest score possible and make the other guy stand up and throw it.
Houston to even the match. And just blows them apart.
Dave Husted had a great year in 1982, won better than $100,000, finished second that year on the money list only to the great Earl Anthony. Struggled a little bit in 83 and 84, but has come back like gangbusters.
Well, ever since he won last year the final tournament, the Touring Players Championship out in Saginaw, Michigan, that seemed to be the confidence that he needed to allow his talent to come up. Granger trying for 3 in a row. Boy, he gave that a lot of room, and it came back. His ball is actually covering more boards than any of our other players. Leaves a soft 10.
And it just goes to show you, Mike, I guess, that there are many ways to strike. Husted pretty much going even straight with the boards, and Purvis Granger is definitely throwing it to the right.
It's just that soft speed. Both these players, though, throw with relatively medium speed, and Granger a little bit softer even than Husted.
A very deliberate player, although he seems to be bowling a little quicker here this evening.
He told me he missed only 1 10-pin all week long.
Well, he thought he would be nervous heading into tonight's television final. I asked him how he was going to shake off the nerves here this evening.
Well, I'm pretty nervous right now and everything, but I have a lot of confidence behind me. And I think I'll do real well, because all I want to do is concentrate on making good shots. And if I could keep that in the back of my mind, I think I may win.
That's what you want to hear. He's not just out there to show up. He's out there to win.
He's not here to make an appearance. He'd like to step in
to the winner's circle.
And that soft speed got him in trouble that time. He thought that ball was flush, and it just, the left lane again, hooking a little bit more, right through the heart of the pins, the 4, 6, 7. Basically, his only hope here is just to throw hard at the 4, 7 and hope something good happens.
Well, he'll get 2 more. But his first open of the match. And Dave Husted will come back working on a double and leading.
I really did, you're honest.
You told me he just nailed the pocket all night and couldn't get a strike.
Right. Well, he got 1 double, but
fortunately enough for you,
I edged into a victory that time. Husted trying for 3 in a row. I'll tell you, he didn't throw that many strikes in practice. He has bowled better since they turned the lights on.
Fans, we're not kidding. He really didn't strike very much in practice, but he has been near perfect here on the championship finals.
Look at the eyes. He just knows, and he's just taking advantage of every opportunity. His opponent opens, and he delivers the right cross and knocks him right out.
I think you might have just hit the nail right there on the head, Mike. He has just stepped up, and every time his opponent has given him an opportunity to take the lead, he has.
Plus, he's also responded when his opponent put the pressure on him. He can't bowl any better than David's bowling. And he's getting good breaks, too.
Michelle, his wife, almost fell off the back of her chair. Dave looks up, runs off the approach, and says, "Why me?"
Watch this. See if we can see what hits the 4-7 here. 3-pin went to the sideboard and hit the 6, and the 6 came over and hit both the 4 and the 7.
Who was it that coined the phrase, "I'd rather be lucky than good"?
Well,
but when you get them both going, oh my.
When you have them both going, that's what I'd rather be, yeah. And Purvis, is it going to fall? Oh, it was halfway over. I mean, he could roll that ball down the left channel and hit the pin.
Pin moved off the mark just a touch, but not quite enough. It's amazing how far those pins will lean back and forth, Mike, and not fall down.
Well, we're going to get a look at it right here. Watch that 7-pin. Pin hits it, and it is halfway over. It's got a flat bottom on it, I'll give it that. He hits it the second time, though. It's not nailed down.
But the youngster from Lafayette, Louisiana, trailing by 35, not exactly the way you want to start your first championship final.
Well, what can he do? I mean, he's not bowling a bad game. He's had 1 bad shot and got the full penalty. His opponent is just one of the hottest bowlers in PBA history right now.
A first and a second in the last 4 weeks.
And appears to be on his way to one of those 2 again this week.
Yeah.
Granger says, "Not if I can help it, though."
You see that look? He is far from through. Plenty of bowling left in this game, Mike.
There's the look of a competitor right here. Oh, a sneer at it. That's a Rocky Balboa look, isn't it?
That's a right cross just about ready to be delivered. Husted looking for 5 in a row. He's been dynamite on the right-hand lane, and guess what? He is just lined up on lane 16. I think maybe Dave would like to take that one along on the tour with him.
Well, he's not doing too bad on 15 either, I'll tell you.
Oh, my goodness.
45 pins ahead. And you're talking potential already. Husted going at a 239 pace right now. Purvis Granger still potential, 245, so...
When he captured the U.S. Open back in 1982, he averaged 252 en route to winning 4 matches there.
One more. One more.
Well, Dave Husted not giving Purvis Granger any room whatsoever to breathe. He leads by 55. Purvis Granger standing up in the 7th would like to double, trails by 55, Mike, but he's still not out of the match.
Well, if he doesn't strike here, he's going to be, though. Gave this one a lot of room. He's going to be history right now. I mean, leaves the 2-4-10. It's tough. You're down 50 pins, and you come back out of a commercial, and you've had to sit and wait. First time on television, we get a side look at him, 5 steps. Holds the ball now, pushes it. It's in good position here, right at the low backswing. Arm out there, knee bent, good long slide. Turns a little bit at the end there. 2-4-10, doesn't convert it, and Purvis Granger is just going to chalk this one up to experience and say, well, you know, I'll try and learn something from this, and next time maybe it'll be me getting that 6 in a row.
And what's nice is the fact that he gets a check for $7,500 for the learning experience.
That's going to help, seeing as he's made just a little over $11,000 so far this year.
And as we mentioned in the bowling news, he is right in the hunt for PBA Rookie of the Year honors. Tightens up the line a little bit, and then goes Brooklyn, and that's the obvious over-adjustment as Purvis with a smile on his face. But meanwhile, waiting in the wings is the top seed Bobby Jacks. Now, he realizes that Dave Husted is on a roll. What's going through his mind?
Boy, it's like the gladiators, you know. I mean, they just whipping them off, and you're next to go out there. I wouldn't want to face him at this point. Not the way he's bowling.
And carrying. Michelle obviously agreeing with that shot.
Yeah, I couldn't quite read her lips. Could you there?
I think it was something like, keep striking, Dave. Please. As we mentioned, a young veteran, been out here 8 years. I had an opportunity in 1978 to watch Dave bowl his very first tournament, PBA National at the MGM Grand Hotel in Reno, and he made the finals.
A number of us were standing back watching this young man in that tournament.
And realizing that someday he would be a PBA champion.
Thing of beauty to watch. It really is pretty.
Okay, what's left now for Purvis Granger, Mike? What does he do at this point?
Just try and finish up with as good a score as he can. If I were in his position right now, what I would be thinking is I want to finish with over a 200 game. You know, I want to shoot 200 at least.
Which is the par score in bowling.
And he has a potential. He can strike out for 213 and finish. If he did that, he would finish with 4 or 5. He could finish with 8 strikes out of a possible 12, as we see the score there. As he's down by 77 pins, just a little margin.
What's amazing that Granger, only 22 years of age, I have a feeling that he'll probably be up on this approach for many years to come.
And ironic that he picked to finish on that left lane, and the left lane really undid him, along with the 8 strikes in a row by his opponent, but the ball kept going high for him several times on the left lane. Left the 4-6 in the 3rd frame. He went Brooklyn in the last frame, 3-6, 9-10 here. The spare that did in Dale Eagle. Purvis have a little more hook than Eagle and makes that spare.
So if he strikes a possible 189, which obviously is not what he had anticipated or hoped for, but as Mike mentioned, the first time on national television really is tough on your nerves.
On the Brooklyn again, leaves the 6 pin, and a handshake of congratulations to Husted, who, if he goes all the way out, can finish with 290. Could be the 2nd consecutive week that we've had a game in the 290s.
Whew, that's a lot of wood.
He's just making it look so easy. Really, folks, this game is not that easy.
It almost looks like an instant replay.
Everyone is. He just keeps throwing all of them the same. Art Trask is back here saying, yeah, this game is not that easy.
And Art had a fine week this week, our statistician for this evening's telecast. Chuck Pierce, our normal statistician, is working the bowling camps this week, the junior bowling camps. And, of course, Butch Soper in the truck, putting all the numbers together. Not an easy task. And once again, the half hit as Husted has the crowd riled up here at Golden Pin Lane.
The tender touches. Billy Whaley used to say the 6 pin goes over to the sideboard and just nudges out that 10 pin.
If he strikes, it's a big 290. And Purvis can always say, hey, my first time on television, the guy shot 290. What am I supposed to do? Did he? Oh, yeah. Oh. Well, Bobby Jack certainly has his work cut out as Husted waves for the fans. Title match is coming up in just a moment. Hang on to your seats. Husted shoots 290 in the semifinal game.
Holds the ball very high. Watch at the finish. He has no slide. He plants that right foot and kind of shovels the ball off of his hand. He's been able to play the extreme outside angle this week and said that the lanes have been the same for him every single day of the tournament. He's loved them. But right now, as he finishes up his practice, if I had to assess this final match right now, I don't think that Bobby Jacks has a chance. Now, I mean, that probably ensures that he's going to win, but I don't think he has a chance. I've watched him in practice, and he has not struck in practice. Dave Husted is averaging, what is he averaging? 260?
264.
264. And we've just received word in our ear from our producer that he needs a 279 to break the all-time 4-game record set by, I believe, Nelson Burton Jr. in St. Louis a few years ago. One thing that if I were Bobby Jacks coming on right now that I would do is I would make Dave Husted finish on the left lane. I would not let him throw 7 shots on that right lane again.
Anything can happen, and normally does when you're watching bowling on television, especially when you're dealing with the professionals from the PBA. Been a lot of guys that have sort of been placed in a very tough situation that have responded, but you're right. If he doesn't get off to a quick start, I think Husted really could put the hammer down.
Well, Jacks told us at the beginning that he needs to get out quick. He wants to come out aggressive. Now, he knows how well Dave Husted's been bowling, so he knows that he's just got to come out of the gate flying with strikes. He's got to come out with a double or turkey right away. And he's still practicing here. This is not for real yet.
Now, what's going through Dave Husted's mind? Obviously, he realizes he's in a position right now where he is in the driver's seat.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what's going through Dave Husted's mind is when he came back off the approach and the fans gave him the round of applause for the 290 game, he held up the finger 1, meaning not that he was number 1, but that he had to win 1 more game. So he is not satisfied with anything that he has done so far, as he's starting the match now, and he's going to let him finish on that right lane. He wants 1 more win to win.
First shot, championship match, and the result is the same.
And that's the 12th strike in a row, which is the old Andy Varapapa 300. And for those at home that don't know what an Andy Varapapa 300 is, comes from the great player from the East Coast. Andy Varapapa used to count every time he had 12 in a row, whether it was in 2 different games. He counted it as a 300 game, and that's why he had 80-some 300 games.
You got to get a break once in a while. 80-some 300 games? Wow. Bobby Jacks with his opening shot. And the pressure is on.
For the first frame, the pressure is on.
And he responds out of New Orleans, Louisiana, 39 years of age. And I mentioned the last time he captured a PBA championship was back in 1966.
And he won 3 in that year, 2 of them back-to-back, at 19 years of age.
One at Buffalo and Waukegan.
Solid in the 1-2 pocket here. Almost leaves the 10-pin, but the 3-pin got it.
Bobby Jacks averaging 219 was the leading pin getter in this week's tournament.
To jump out to a quick lead. And he just cut that one off really short. I mean, the follow-through just never went up at all. This is the 2-7. He's going to move right. Well, what I would recommend is move right on the approach, try and hit the 2-pin on the left and deflect into the 7. Seeing as he's playing the first or second board out there, I don't think he's going to shoot it off of his strike line. So being a little facetious there, as he does move to the right side of the approach. Probably use about the 3rd arrow on the left. Must convert this. I mean, this is a pressure shot already, Dan. And just gets it. Woo!
Well, by the skin of his teeth, and Bobby sort of waltzes off the approach, and he realizes he got away with one.
I thought he had it easily, and the ball hooks a little bit here and deflects and just nicks the 7-pin.
Well, we've seen a few shaver shots here this evening.
Saw Husted do that in the first frame a couple games ago. Look at the eyes.
Oh, had it all the time.
Never a doubt.
Husted looking to double in the second. Right-hand lane's been all his. It's a little high, but he trips off the 4. And when you've got that kind of action going, Mike, you've got it on a roll.
Watch the 2-pin, 3rd from the left. It goes to the sideboard, comes back, and the butt of it gets the 4-pin, and head gets the 7.
We've mentioned in previous weeks that Marshall Holman, Walter Ray Williams, Steve Cook, those are the 3 players that involved at this point in the Bowler of the Year and Player of the Year race. But
there's another guy throwing his hat in the ring right now.
Well, I think, yeah, it's a 5X Stetson, I have a feeling. He's going to toss it right in there with the rest of them.
His opponent in this game, Bobby Jacks, is our first left-hander on our ESPN telecast since the doubles.
Which was week number 2, but the first week for the touring pros, and another mistake, but once again, Husted gets away with murder. Threw it through the nose and only leaves the 10 pin.
He's getting the breaks. It goes right to the heart of the pins. Could have been a big split. The head pin or 2 pin was, I couldn't tell. Goes over, almost gets a strike. Is it going to fall the second time? No. The way things are going for him, I thought maybe it would fall in the replay.
Well, he is leading by 9. But the ever-resourceful Bobby Jacks will step up in the 3rd. He struck on the right-hand lane, his opening shot. As a matter of fact, it went flush. One thing I've noticed, too, in practice, Bobby used a ball that he used all week long, and he is not throwing it right now.
Well, he told me the ball that he used all week long normally hooks more than this ball, but today, this ball's hooking more. So you figure out the game of bowling. It's hard to do sometimes.
Well, as I mentioned, it has been 20 years since Bobby Jacks has stood in the PBA winner's circle, and I asked him about what was going through his mind heading into tonight's final.
Well, I got close last summer in Canada, and I had a chance to win, got down to the last ball, and needed a strike and didn't get it. I don't plan for it to go that long this year. I plan to have it shut out by the 9th or 10th frames.
I like that.
A lot of confident bowlers on the show today, but the one that's backing up that confidence with action is Dave Husted.
Jacks with an opportunity to double.
And to take the lead.
Right, by a pin.
And he does!
Well, never say die. Bobby Jacks has answered the call with a double in the 3rd and the 4th, and we'll be back.
Dave Husted, and interestingly enough, I was just thinking, Denny, that this is the only game that Dave Husted has opened with a strike. Maybe that's a good omen for Jacks.
Speaking of strikes, he has struck 30 out of 36 balls.
Unbelievable.
Excuse me, 31 of 37.
And he might strike all of them if he can bowl them all in the right lane. Can you imagine, though, the first 3 games, he had 28 strikes. That is better than 9 a game. Only a possible 12, you know, I mean.
That's like going out in a golf tournament shooting 65, 65, 64, and then whatever in the final round.
And still having to perform to win on the final round.
That's right.
To take the lead back. Tie again. On the crossover. 2 bad shots in a row on the left lane, and Dave seems to have lost a little of the magic. No penalty. But his confidence has to be shaken a little bit on this left lane that hooks earlier for him, and he has just thrown the ball poorly both times. Gotten good breaks, leaving only the 10 pin. Has that spare. But Jacks has his opportunity right now, Dan.
Jacks with a double in the 3rd and the 4th leads by 1 and could make that an 11-pin lead should he strike on lane 16. Bobby Jacks has been perfect on lane 16 here in the title match. Stands 5'7", 155 pounds, 39 years of age. Kidding Mike Durbin that he doesn't think he'll have a 40th birthday for quite some time.
Taking a little extra time on this shot, so important. It's there. Oh, what a nice reaction. Boy, is that responding to the pressure.
In speaking with Bobby before tonight's championship final, he intimated to me that he was going to go out and be very aggressive on every single shot.
We see the reaction here. The ball finishing right into the 1-2 pocket. Never a doubt. He's up by 11 now, putting more pressure on Dave Husted. Can increase it to 21 with 1 more strike, taking more and more time. It's just the most important game of his career in the last 20 years. This gets him back into the Firestone Tournament of Champions if he can win. he's aiming a long time this time. Breaks up the split. Just too much time, Dan. Just
Do you
too
think
much time.
you can put yourself in a position like that, Mike, where you spend too much time getting ready?
Yeah, I've been guilty of that in the past. He just couldn't get himself ready to make the shot, and just took more and more time and wanted to be so perfect with it that he was too careful.
But Jack's also getting a break in that he broke up the split.
Leaves the 4-7.
He is normally a very deliberate player anyway, isn't he, Mike?
Well, in this case, he doesn't want any careless mistakes. That's what's going through his mind. He wants to make sure of every shot. He's coming out here. He only has one game to bowl, and he's going to make sure that he makes no mental mistakes in this one game. And he does it.
It's a seesaw battle here in the title match of the $140,000 Miller Lite Challenge. $23,000 going to the winner, $12,000 to the loser here of the semifinal match.
And keep in mind that Dave Husted gets to finish in the 10th frame on lane 16 that he has just dearly loved. Somebody coughing in the background, see if it bothers Husted. Nothing is bothering Husted tonight, except lane 15 now and then.
He has struggled on the left-hand lane here in the championship match. In the third and the fifth, missing both times. Struck in the first.
Well, it would be interesting now to see if he makes a move with his feet, or what kind of adjustment he tries to make, or just tries to execute the shot better. I don't know exactly what's going through his mind.
He seems to have set it short the last couple of times on that left-hand lane. Let's see if he might loft a little bit more out this time. Looks like he's moved a little more right with his feet.
Good loft. And trips the 4 again.
And you saw the response. That away, baby. Trip out that 4. And a big pressure double in the 7th.
Oh, yeah, he said. Thanks.
Thanks.
You read that?
Oh, you pro bowlers are all alike. You're also courteous when you strike.
Oh, yeah. David has those choir boy looks. Jack's now trailing by a pin. Right lane going high on the Brooklyn. He says, all right.
He'll take it.
Absolutely. That's one more frame out of the way.
That's another thing about pro bowlers. They're not proud in that respect, are you, Mike? You'll take it on the wrong
We
side.
see on the 1-3. It looks good for a right-hander. I mean,
he knows he's made a mistake. Uh-oh, crossover. Yes, no problem. That's one of those, boy, it looks good. Not good. Uh-oh, there it is. Just fine.
one pin separating the two players, 3 frames to go.
I've noticed, Mike, that Dave does not watch his opponent. How did you used to react to that? Did you used to watch him play?
I did both.
Oh. When you were ahead, you watched, and when you were behind, you looked down.
No, sometimes I would try not watching. Other times I watched. 8th frame to take the lead. High. There's with the shot that was short. He just did not get that ball over the foul line. When we say short, we mean that he didn't get the ball far enough out on the lane, that it was just set too close to the foul line, and the ball ran high, and he knew it. Again, the 4-7, the spare that he converted a couple of frames ago. Bobby right here, no slide, and the ball almost set down. It looked almost behind the foul line, didn't it, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
And the follow-through going way to the left. Uh-oh. Ooh, he's got it.
Bobby looks up.
He was a little worried, I'll tell
Taps
you.
the pacemaker there.
But Husted going to lane 16, his favorite lane, leading by 1, and has the match in his grasp, I mean, to put it away almost if he can strike a couple times here. Oh, and he misses his favorite lane. Keeping Bobby Jacks in the match could have had a split, and we see pressure telling on even a very confident player. What did he say? Could you read that?
No, I couldn't, but he is obviously very disappointed because up until this point, he has, when he's had an opportunity to walk through the door, he's walked through, slammed it, locked it, and thrown away the key.
Has the 4-7. There we see it. One pin separating the two bowlers with 2 frames to go. Husted been having trouble on the left lane, has been high. 2 consecutive frames and got a high strike the last time. Needs a strike in the 9th frame here to set up the big finish for the 10th.
Both players beginning to feel the pressure.
And when the pressure's on, that's when it's hardest to keep your speed up sometimes. Very little time. Good speed and good shot. Very relaxed shot under a pressure situation.
Husted reacting and realizing that he's put himself in a position to perhaps win with a beautiful shot in the 9th.
And that half pocket hit, you see that 6-pin snap out the 10. You know he had the good hand release and the good finger lift. Bobby Jacks, his fate in his own hands. If he strikes in the 9th and all 3 in the 10th, he can shoot 238, and there's nothing that Dave Husted can do.
Bobby Jacks took over the lead in this tournament after the 2nd game of the final round of match play last night and held on to it for dear life.
High again on the Brooklyn again. Doesn't carry it this time, and Husted tosses his rosin bag in the air. Says he's going to get 2. He knew this was high, and the 2-pin, I'm getting mixed up on my pins here, doesn't get the 4.
Bobby Jacks, should he convert and then strike out in the 10th, would have a possible 227. And now, Dave Husted, who sits on the bench, his head in his hands, is now in a position to win if he goes right off the sheet.
Cross lane at the 4-pin. No mistakes and no mistakes. All right.
Well, you like to talk those spare attempts home, don't you?
Oh. Well, he almost chopped the 4 off the 7 the previous frame, and he was thinking about that. He wanted to give it a little bit more room. And what we've got here is a tie match, as the scoreboard tells the story here, going into the 10th frame. The big difference is that Husted has that strike. He cannot lose count. Jacks must strike the first ball in the 10th frame. It's an absolute must situation.
Bobby Jacks deliberately approaching lane 15, and in the back of his mind, he certainly realizes, I should say, that this is it, basically.
The most important shot he's thrown in 20 years. Through the nose again, leaves the 4-7 one more time, broke up the split. Same shot as the 8th frame. Puts himself 2 pins behind. It's just hard. The lanes are tight. He can't give it any room. He wanted to throw it at the pocket. He just pulled it a little bit.
His reaction has been to go high, Mike, rather than to send it a little bit.
Well, the lanes, again, are slick on both sides of the lane, left and right. And he just doesn't throw much hook to begin with. He didn't want to give it a chance that it wouldn't get back. You can't strike if you don't hit the head pin. As the spare. It's still important. It's still anybody's game right now. Of course, Husted in the driver's seat. Jack strikes. He's going to wind up with 215, which would mean that Husted would have to fill 19 pins in the 10th frame in order to win.
Bobby not even realizing, I don't think, that he was in the 10th frame. He spared up and sat down and had to be reminded that he needs to throw the fill ball here. Should Dave Husted win, he would have accumulated better than $50,000 over the last month.
That's not a bad month.
Yeah. Nice week, nice 4 weeks work.
Gave that one more room, too much room. That's why he didn't want to send it and leaves a horrible. Now Husted only needs a spare, just a mark, and he goes, I think he checks the score again. He wants a re-rack. That's what he wants.
Might be buying himself a little time here to make sure he's got the score correct.
I don't think so. To me, sitting right behind that, I would have re-racked that too. The 5-pin looked a little off spot to the left. This one looks good. He's going to shoot this one. We're in a great vantage point here, right behind. He needs only a mark.
210 for Bobby Jacks, who had one double in the match in the third. Well, make that a turkey in the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th.
right there. And it carries.
Oh, my, the slide right off the approach, and Dave Husted has captured his second PBA title in a 4-week span, and he is drained right now, literally drained emotionally. He has come from the number 4 spot and worked his way all the way up the ladder.
And again, his experience showing he's going over checking to see if he needs to even throw this next shot or needs to stay behind the foul line and not throw it in the channel. Moves in right down the second arrow. And that's it.
More than enough.
More than enough.
Dave Husted out of Milwaukee, Oregon, and I have a feeling the folks in Milwaukee are probably jumping up and down right now. I know his dad, Champ, certainly is. Final score for Husted will be 225, so it's a 15-pin victory for young Dave Husted. His 5th overall in his career and his 2nd in the past month. He gets a hug and a kiss from wife Michelle. We'll be back right after this.
The upset of
Is the mark he needed to win. Watch his eyes, his reaction. He knows it's there, sliding out on his knees. His wife standing up in the background. She was as excited as he was.
Looked like Pete Rose taking it home. There is the score of the championship match, 225 to 210. Dave Husted, the winner of the $140,000 Miller Lite Challenge. Trophy in hand. And a very happy Dave Husted. The folks in Oregon right now have to be going absolutely berserk. Husted collecting $23,000 for the victory this evening, and his 2nd in just 1 month. Tonight's telecast has been brought to you by True Value Hardware Stores. The more you've got to do, the more you need True Value Hardware Store. We've got what it takes. And don't forget, next Wednesday Night Live, it's the 115th on your right.